Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, it is about 9:18. I just got dropped off by the bus a little bit ago. Had to readjust some things here, make sure everything is in order and such. And I'll probably do a more appropriate audio version of this, maybe, or more than likely later. But I wanted to get on here real quickly while I'm walking home and want to, first of all, congratulate Michelle, aka Dizzy Arts. That's Dezzzie Arts, who used to also go by the name of Jackal Lador on DeviantArt, but she now changed it over to Dizzy Arts on both DeviantArt and social media. I want to do this live and congratulate her on essentially accomplishing, a feat that, with the story as it is, you wouldn't think she was going to be able to accomplish, but she has, and that is 250 chapters / shifts of her primary story, Metamorphosed to Malleability. Now, I will put in more details when I get home, because I'm doing this live right now. Didn't have the time to really put in details in the description box or tags or hashtags, so I'll pretty much make up for that later. But yeah, today, we all expected her to pull something, out of her bag, if you will, when it came to the series, and she did just that. Basically, what she did was, I guess you could say, a sequel to something that she started back in December. See, in December, she did a 2-part Christmas special where she... Oh, yeah, sorry about that. There's just somebody on the skateboard. I didn't want them to think anything else. But anyway, like I was saying, what was I? Oh yeah. You see, back in December, she did a 2-part Christmas special where she had her main character, Briella, use her powers, which have evolved tremendously, hugely over these past 250 issues. Or not issues, but chapters / shifts. She had her character Briella basically give her fiance a 2-part gift deal. And the second part was basically her fiance Crystal getting her own personal genie, a la Aladdin kind of style and everything. But it was Briella playing the role of the genie. That was the case, if you will. But yeah, like I said, it was Briella playing the role of the genie. Her powers had evolved so much. Her powers had evolved so much in these 250 issues. Or not issues, but chapters. And I think it was just getting into the 240 range at that time too. If you will, it was getting into the 240 range at that time too. And basically, long story short, in the 2-part Christmas special, basically the second part, if you will, like I said, she gave Crystal her own personal genie by being the genie and going by the name of Aisha, or not Aisha, but Irishar, or something like that. I gotta look at it again. Ishtar, I think. And of course, it was just a way for her to not only give her own personal genie, but also to have some very playful intimacy with Crystal um, in a unique kind of fashion. So basically, what happened here with the 250th one, um, Michelle Desiart had contemplated. She describes this in the description of the story over at DeviantArt, on her DeviantArt page. She had contemplated just either doing something like a special for the 250th shift, or essentially just going and keeping it regular as we speak. Now I have no doubt she's going to do a 250th shift, as part of the regular story. Well, at least that's what I think she's going to do. At least that's what I think she's going to do. But yeah, basically, she was contemplating. She was wondering, okay, what can I do, to celebrate 250 chapters. Hold on for a sec. Like I said, she was wondering, okay, contemplating, like, okay, what can I do to celebrate 250 chapters? And basically, the decision that she came up with was, instead of just continuing the story, the regular story as it is, that she was going to hold off on it for at least a week, maybe a couple of days, whatever the case may be, and focus on doing a special for the 250th shift. But obviously, the question is, what kind of story will we get? And I have to say, if she was wondering, okay, what kind of story could she do for a 250th special, instead of just doing a continuation of the regular continuity in series, if you will. I have to say, she was wondering what to do and then came up with what she did. I have to say that she did a tremendous job. I think she did a great job here with this, this little break, if you will, from the norm to celebrate 250 chapter shifts, if you will, by continuing what she did with the Christmas special. I thought it was a great little neat idea. And what she had Briella in her genie form, in her genie alter ego, show how much her powers have evolved by basically taking an empty warehouse that was, in a sense, gifted to Briella by the Suri Genesis people, or not Genesis, but Suri generous, easy for me to say, Suri Genesis people, or Juris people, whatever they're called. They basically went to this warehouse that was gifted to Briella by the Suri Generous people, which they had access to, so that Briella had a lot of room to expand on her powers and everything and practice, also have some privacy. She decided to have Crystal take herself and Briella there. Now, Briella's still playing the role of the genie that she became, was brought there by Crystal because, she had made a suggestion, I think, in the Christmas special, of a bigger space to really let Crystal play out her fantasy. And, the warehouse provided that option. And providing that option, they were able to basically, make that happen. Briella was basically able to make that happen. And what it was also was a nice little continuation of what we had seen in the Winter Vacation sub-arc that they did, as part of the overall story. During the Winter Vacation sub-arc, mainly towards the end, Briella and Crystal had some time together. And Briella's powers had really come into their own at that time, to the point that she was able to not only mimic an entire cabin from top to bottom, just like she could a submarine, but she was able to basically make that cabin that she had become of herself, or at least she had added, herself to. She could make that cabin into whatever her imagination, I should say, would allow her to make, come up with. And there are various things that she did. She turned the cabin into an undersea fantasy world for Crystal. She turned it into outer space, and then as well as an alien world and everything. She did all that. She did all that. And again, that was just an example of how far her powers had come, essentially, if you will, since she got them. So this year was basically the next step to where now she could use the entire warehouse to turn it into this fantasy, like Dungeons and Dragons, like environment, or Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, like hybrid environment for Crystal to have fun in, to live out this fantasy. And that's what they did. And Briella took on the roles of all these like creatures that Crystal, who took on the role of the main heroine of the series, of this fantasy, would encounter. Briella was basically like the antagonist and all that. The ones that would test Crystal's heroine character with quizzes and whatever, as well as gauntlets, fights. They just had some role-playing fun until basically at the end, Crystal got tired, and just got wore out. And that's when Briella, still in her genie alter form, decides to kind of change things back to normal. And then she herself changes back to normal by first evaporating into smoke, and then, splitting off from her genie form. In other words, she was able to basically make two of herself. One, her genie form, her alter ego, if you will, and herself. And by doing so, they both went, to the car. They locked everything up at the hotel. Not hotel, but at the warehouse. They locked everything up at the warehouse and just went to the car. She used her powers to cocoon into a sleeping bag, Crystal sleeping form, and head for home. And that's pretty much it as far as the 250th shift goes. Now, overall, I thought it was a nice little diversion, a nice little continuation, like I said, of what she did in December with the Christmas special, Christmas shifts, if you will. And yeah, I highly recommend, as I've always said, I highly recommend checking out her stories, because Metamorphosed Malleability is not the only story she has, or story series she has. She has the Unlimited series. She has the yearly Melty Mi series that she's continuing this May. She's got a lot to offer, and I highly recommend checking out Michelle Dizzy Arts at divanart.com. But here's the thing. Looking back at it now at 250 shifts, I will say this. What I've always liked about this, what's attracted me to this story is, how much the character Briella has evolved with her powers. I mean, here's a girl that got excited at the fact that she has shape-shifting powers to become anything or anyone she wants. And through trial and error has learned, that she's got to, through trial and error, she's learned that basically, if she's going to do, certain things with these powers, like, become certain people, become certain objects and stuff, that she's got to focus. She's got to have more practice, because there were times during the earlier chapters where she would become an inanimate object, like a towel or a blanket, and when she stayed that way for so long, she started to think that she always was that thing. And we've seen her basically progress over time, if you will, to learn that, hey, if I'm going to stay this way, I got to focus and clear my mind and remind myself, yeah, I am a blanket now, but I'm still me, And she has mastered that. I love seeing that. I love seeing the fact that she can split herself into multiple clones and try to control them. Yes, she has had a moment here and there like she did recently, But I like the fact that she's gotten to the point that she can, well, essentially, just master that ability. She's mastered that ability so well that now that not only has she mastered it and learned from it, but she's realized that, hey, if I'm going to clone myself, I got to make sure, this clone doesn't gain any more sentience like the other one did, and so on. But she's also learned to be humble and realize that even though that sentient being clone, Mimi, wanted to be the only one in existence because, she represented what Briella had promised herself as a child. Briella was at least humble enough to be like, yeah, I should live out some of those fantasies, but not for the length that, I promised myself back as a kid that this girl reminded me of, but just for a time being, for a certain time being, like a couple of hours, maybe a week, and that's it. But overall, again, I love the character growth of of Briella. I love, with her powers. I love the fact that she has friends that she could trust with them, and I still believe Crystal's going to get powers similar to her, if not identical. That's really all I could say. But anyway, though, guys, I'm going to cut it off right now. I am home. I got to take out the recycling right now, basically get it ready for tomorrow to be picked up and everything. And it is cold, guys, so I just wanted to do this little live quick review and shout out to Dizzy Arts Michelle. Congratulations on 250 shifts with the series. Looking forward to 275 when it comes out in the next couple of months. But until then, guys, I will talk to you later. I'm home, and like I said, I'll try to do a more appropriate version of this audio-wise later on. Peace out. God bless. Take care. And I'm out.